I'm all-pro cornerback Richard Sherman, and when I'm not chasing receivers, I'm trying to keep up with my kids. That's why Alberto beef jerky is my favorite snack. Alberto is delicious, lean beef, slow cooked and seasoned to perfection, all natural and all delicious. Alberto beef jerky is protein-packed, so I can keep up with my busy. Raiden, stop grabbing your sister's hair.
Alberto beef jerky. You get out what you put in.
Refers to Alberto's all-natural line of beef jerkies. Minimally processed, no artificial ingredients.
This is the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
I'm Stephen A. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the latest edition of the Stephen A. Smith Show, coming at you as I love to do every weekday over the airways of ESPN Radio. That's 710 ESPN LA. That's 98.7 FM, New York City. And, of course, nationwide over the airways of ESPN Radio. Sirius XM, Channel 80. Number to call up, as always, is 866-729-ESPN. That's 866-729-3776. Lots of stuff to get into with you today. Ezekiel Elliott and his appeal hearing for his 6-game suspension handed down by the NFL. It's still ongoing, scheduled to stretch into tomorrow. That would be Thursday. We'll be talking about that. Obviously, we need to get into that. We need to get into some more NBA items. My man Mike Wilbon had a problem with LeBron James. We'll talk about that a little bit later on in the show, rather. More on the trade that is but may not be Kyrie Irving going to Boston in exchange for Isaiah Thomas, Jay Crowder, a European player, and a potential first overall pick. Lots of stuff to get into with that. Isaiah Thomas swearing to ESPN's own Adrian Wojnarowski that indeed he has not damaged goods. He expects to be ready. And anybody who thinks otherwise better check themselves, because this man is not finished handling his business. All of that and more to get into. But the news of the moment happens to be the announcement that came down a little over an hour ago that the Dallas Cowboys-Houston Texans game has been canceled by the National Football League. A game will not take place. You have a member of the Houston Texans who obviously have family members. They're concerned. You have the community of Houston, Texas, and its surrounding areas incredibly concerned, ravaged by the tropical storm named Harvey. Texans defensive end J.J. Watt has helped raise in excess of $5.4 million for the Houston Relief Fund at the moment. ESPN and Walt Disney has already pledged $1 million, and they're having a day of giving. We are having a day of giving starting tomorrow, and obviously we're very, very proud to be associated with such things. I know I'll make donations. I know a lot of you out there will make donations because we're Americans. And when one of us are in trouble, all of us are in trouble. Speaking from a community perspective, of course. And as a result, it's something that needs to be addressed. It's something that will be addressed. And we're going to raise the funds necessary to help the Houston community and its surrounding areas. And by the way, the New Orleans Saints had to cancel a game as well because Louisiana is about to be hit. This tropical storm is about to descend upon its next door neighbor. And Lord knows what's going to happen. And we know that there's a heightened level of sensitivity that we have to have in regards to that due to what we witnessed from Hurricane Katrina. Remember how disastrous that was. I have to admit, though, and give my man Max Kellerman, my partner in crime, on First Take on ESPN every weekday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern Time, 7 a.m. Pacific. Max Kellerman talked yesterday about how he has no problem if they have a football game, a meaningless preseason game, because he and I have the mindset there shouldn't even be preseason games. As violent and as physical as the game of football is, as far as I'm concerned, you're the top 24 players on the roster. You should not be participating in a preseason game. But I will say this. His idea that the game, if it's going to be played, all the proceeds should go towards the relief efforts in Houston. I actually loved that idea. I really, really did. And then the NFL stepped in and canceled the damn game. I don't understand why they did that, particularly if the revenue generated was going to go towards the relief fund. Maybe that's something the NFL can explain, and maybe it's something they will choose to explain before we go off the airwaves today. We don't know. We hope so. But either way you slice it, clearly a lot of folks' hearts are in the right place, and it's being addressed with the fervor it deserves. You've got J.J. Watt. You've got Chris Paul donating $50,000. You've got Les Alexander, the owner for the Houston Rockets, who is selling the team, having committed to donating $10 million. You have Robert Kraft, owner for the New England Patriots, who's made a donation. And that's just to name a few. And it's a beautiful thing to see because considering the way that we're struggling as a nation, or we appear to be struggling as a nation, the divisiveness that existed, the divide that occurred, that's obviously in existence in this country today, we were so focused on how far apart we are, ideas-wise, ideologically, etc., that somehow, some way we forgot what America was all about. And then we saw this unfortunate tragedy and tragic circumstances take place. 20 people at least have died. So obviously this is very, very tragic. We've seen that happen, and now we're seeing Americans in the sports world and beyond standing up, raising up, doing what it can to help their fellow man and woman. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing to see. Let's just do everything that we can to continue pushing that effort forward. 866-729-ESPN. That's 866-729-3776. That's one thing we want to talk about. The other thing we need to talk about is Jerry Jones. Now, listen, ladies and gentlemen, I can't stand, I'm on the record. We all know this. I can't stand Cowboy fans. I say that affectionately, all in fun. I don't mean I hate them as human beings and stuff like that. I'm just having fun. I'm a native New Yorker. I grew up hating on the Cowboys. It's nothing new. But when you take the joking aside and you get serious about it, I'm not going to castigate Jerry Jones, the owner for the Dallas Cowboys. But I am going to highlight how wrong he was to say what he said about Ezekiel Elliott and his appeals hearing. To sit up there and to say there's still no evidence here as it pertains to Ezekiel Elliott and this 6-game suspension. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Ladies and gentlemen, July 17th, 19th, and 21st of 2016, Ezekiel Elliott was associated with 5 separate incidences against his ex-girlfriend. Yes, she threatened his career. Yes, she tried to extort him. All of that's in a 160-page report of the NFL. But what the NFL said in suspending Ezekiel Elliott for 6 games is that essentially where there's smoke, there's fire. We believe it's more probable than not that you committed an act of domestic violence since there were bruises on her arms, her back, her neck, her chest, etc., etc. And the fact that it occurred over 5 separate instances, there's nothing else to talk about. Now, according to our man Dan Graziano, our NFL reporter, the NFLPA, the Players Association, is going to try to attack the process which the NFL endured in order to come into this conclusion of a 6-game suspension. That's fair enough. That's what unions do. But for Jerry Jones to sit up there and say there's no evidence, are you saying the bruises on her body were not evidence? What are you trying to say? We're gonna assume a best case scenario instead of a worst case scenario where Jerry Jones is concerned, because we certainly don't want to accuse him of being insensitive to it. But guess what? He's got a daughter in Charlotte Jones that's renowned for the help she's provided on issues pertaining to domestic violence. One would think your own daughter has spoken to you about this. So for Jerry Jones to sit up there and come out and say, hey, you know what? There's no evidence here. It's Jerry Jones, the loyalist, constantly coming to the aid of one of his players, as he's been prone to do. The difference is in the past, you came to their aid. In this particular instance, you know what Jerry Jones is doing? He's defending the indefensible. Because when you make statements like there's no evidence, that's just ludicrous. That's just absolutely, positively ludicrous.
Want to be a part of the show? Hit Stephen A. up weekdays from 1 to 3 Eastern at 866-729-3776. Okay, Kevin, for the grand prize of $1 million, what color is the White House?
I know this.
5 seconds.
Oh, switching to Geico could save you a bunch of money on car insurance?
Okay. Judges? That's true, Kevin. They'll allow it. Congratulations. You're a winner.
Woo!
Geico, because saving 15% or more on car insurance is always a great answer.
You're listening to the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
I gave you some false information a few minutes ago, ladies and gentlemen. Told you that the game in New Orleans was canceled. That's what we were hearing. Turns out the game is not canceled. The New Orleans Saints and Baltimore Ravens will indeed play one another. They contemplated its cancellation, but ultimately decided not to. As a result, they will be playing their preseason game tomorrow. Just want to let y'all know that. 866-729-ESPN. That's 866-729-3776. Before I get to the phones and take some of these calls on Ezekiel Elliott and his suspension and, you know, this tragedy, this catastrophe that has been Tropical Storm Harvey, Hurricane Harvey. I also wanted to point out something about Mike Wilbon and what he had to say. And do we have that? Because Mike Wilbon spoke about LeBron James yesterday. LeBron James sending out some tweets, letting the world know more was coming, making some promises, etc., etc. And here was Mike Wilbon, star for Pardon the Interruption with my man Tony Kornheiser. Listen to his response to all of those tweets.
LeBron's the greatest force of nature that sports has seen, that basketball has seen in the last 15 years.
Yes.
What the hell is he talking about? He's going to deliver all the promise, new promise. There's no new promise. Everything he's promising now, he has promised and delivered for 14 years. It's a waste of our time. It's a surprise that LeBron's going to be great. He needs to promise that to Jim Brown and Michael Jordan and Wayne Gretzky, Tom Brady. Do they promise on social media, I'm going to be great?
Amen to that. Because here's the reality of the situation. LeBron James is an extraordinary businessman, not just a basketball player. But I'm going to take it a step further than what Wilbon just took it to. Once again, it's LeBron trying to control narratives. See, that's my one issue with LeBron James. Like, you'll sit up there and talk about LeBron James, and hey, he had a bad game last night. LeBron be like, I don't worry about things like that. I worry about being a role model to kids and, making sure kids look up to me and, doing what I can to help those less fortunate than myself because I've been so blessed. But who the hell is talking about that? Like I've said many, many occasions, ladies and gentlemen, a show of hands. Tell me, Jonathan Nuno, Cat, tell me once. Stand up, Cat. I want to hear this. Tell me one person, that has said anything about LeBron James being a bad father. Has anybody said anything about him being a bad husband? Has anybody ever accused him of not being charitable? Has anybody failed to not recognize his philanthropy, his charitable donations, the fact that he's put thousands of kids through school? Has anybody forgotten that? Has anybody negated mentioning that? Nobody. So when LeBron James always comes out with something, he's trying to control the narrative. I will not let him do it. You just lost your damn 5th NBA Finals. Period. You're a wonderful guy. Wonderful family man. Incredibly charitable as a superstar in this league. The most iconic sports figure in the world. He is a phenomenal ambassador for the NBA. Adam Silver, all the employees for the NBA, every NBA team, every NBA reporter and pundit, including myself, should be thankful we have him. The NBA Players Association, led by the wonderful Michelle Roberts, with Chris Paul, CP3 as its president, who, by the way, is a pretty damn good person himself. All of these people should be thankful to have LeBron. D. Wade should be thankful to call him a friend and a brother. The same could be said about CP3 and Carmelo Anthony. Did I miss anything, John? Did I miss anything, Nuno? Did I miss anything, Kat? What the hell does that have to do with you losing your 5th finals? What does it have to do with it? Now, why am I bringing this up? This man loses in the NBA Finals in 5 games. They were down 3-0 on the verge of getting swept. Ladies and gentlemen, before the finals even began, when they had won the game at TD Bank Garden in Boston, and LeBron James was asked about going up against the Golden State Warriors, do you remember what he said? I can't think about that right now. I'm just trying to enjoy this moment. I don't even want to deal with that stress. I don't even want to deal with the stress of having to figure out how to beat those guys. He walked in to the NBA Finals defeated. Am I lying? Am I lying? I'm going to go as far as to say this. He walked into the NBA Finals saying, I'm going to get mine. I'm going to get mine so nobody can say I didn't do my job. That's basically how he looked. There's no crime in that, ladies and gentlemen. Sometimes that's your reality. But that's what happened. And so for this guy, and then you remember, let me not forget, the Golden State Warriors win the finals. They're having a parade 3 or 4 days later. Why is LeBron James on social media showing himself in the weight room? I mean, you would think if you've lost your 3rd finals in 4 years, you would hide for a little while. You would go someplace and lick your wounds. You might go to Europe. Just get the hell away. You shouldn't want anybody to see you because damn, losing hurt that bad. If 3 days later you were in a weight room, then correct me if I'm wrong, no, Kat, Jonathan, help me understand. If I've lost the NBA Finals, why would I want anybody to see me in the weight room with me showing how I'm working out? I'm going to come at them on the day they got their parade. Ladies and gentlemen, that's about trying to market yourself and build your brand. That ain't about winning. That ain't about winning. Now, maybe it's unfair to measure this guy against Michael Jordan in a multitude of ways, or Kobe Bryant for that matter. And after all, they were living in different times, more so MJ than Kobe with the advent of social media and beyond. But did y'all notice how long it took y'all to see their face whenever they lost? I'm sorry, it may not apply to Michael Jordan because he never lost an NBA Finals. But I'm just saying, that's the point. That's the stuff that gets on my nerves with LeBron James. It's like, I mean, damn, go someplace for a little while and smell yourself after you lost. As opposed to, we know you're the greatest player in the world. You're an iconic figure, the preeminent sports iconic figure in the world. We get it. You're rich beyond your wildest dreams. Hell, you ain't rich, you wealthy. You got enough to take care of generations of LeBron James to come. You've earned it. You never cheated anybody along the way. You're phenomenal in every sense. And I applaud this man, and I'm happy to be covering him because he's that great. But damn, I mean, just disappear when you lose. Am I wrong, y'all? Am I committing a crime to want to wonder about what he has in store for us next because he's just that ticked off having lost again? When I see him so conspicuously in our face, knowing that he's a runner-up for the 3rd time in 4 years, you know what that says to me? He'll try to win, but is it really a priority? Because you would think this dude would be killing himself. You would think he'd be unpleasant to be around. You would think he'd be unpleasant to talk to and beyond having lost. But that's not what we get. That's my issue. And doing something else to put himself front and center in front of us all tells me he's trying to control a narrative, and I am not going to let him. You lost. Kevin Durant and them stacked the deck, true. And the odds were against you, absolutely. But now, that ain't the case. They might be the favorite, but if you were the best in the world with a year under your belt and this trade works out and y'all come out of the East with Isaiah Thomas, with Jay Crowder, with essentially 2 starting fives on Cleveland's roster, what's your excuse going to be then? I don't want to hear it. If you're going to be satisfied and cool with losing, do me a favor, step aside and let somebody else go to the finals. I appreciated the fact that when Kobe got blown out by 39 in Game 6 against Boston back in 2008, he was crying on the bench. I appreciate the fact that both him and Shaq were crying on the bench when L.A. lost to San Antonio in the Western Conference Finals. Damn it, I appreciate it. I know everything's going to be okay. Kind of life he's got, it should be. But you ain't got to flash it in our face immediately after a loss. That's the damn problem with today's game if you really, really want to get down to the heart of the matter. Too many dudes hugging and kissing all the damn time. It would be nice to see some healthy hatred for one another. It'd be nice to see a whole bunch of Russell Westbrooks out there not trying to befriend anybody. We love it. LeBron gives us a whole lot. He damn sure don't give us that. I mean, damn, if is it a crew of y'all or is it a harem? What is it? Go to break. I'll be back in a minute.
Guess what?
You're in the middle of the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Damn it, I mean it!
Got to remember something about J.J. Watt, because I was talking about LeBron James and Ezekiel Elliott. Not that they deserve to be mentioned in the same breath, because LeBron James is not associated with domestic violence. That would be Ezekiel Elliott. Just 2 separate segments. I was talking about these things. Also mentioned J.J. Watt earlier. Getting back to the Tropical Storm Harvey, J.J. Watt's been going on social media and doing video messages, and every time he sets a new target for the fund, it's been met, especially in the last 24 hours. Tuesday morning, he had a goal of raising $2 million after the previous target of $1.5 million had been met. It was raised to $3 million later in the day, then $4 million, then $5 million. All of it has been met. Now he's at $6 million. And his quote is, please keep sharing, please keep donating. I'm going to make sure this money goes as directly to the people as possible. Do you have any idea? I want y'all to put this in perspective of how powerful this is. J.J. Watt, it's not even just about his generosity. It's that he's earned the trust of people. People are giving this money, relying on his word that it's going to get directly to the people who need it. Do you know how special of an athlete you have to be to get the public to trust that you will do what you say in that regard? And just in case you don't realize how athletes can be, listen to my final take today on ESPN. I did final take today on ESPN's First Take. And similar to this very, very subject, I spoke on it. This is what I had to say. Listen up.
You've heard the news, haven't you? We've heard all about Colin Kaepernick's protest, Ezekiel Elliott's appeal of his suspension due to his association with domestic violence. Percolating in the news right now are the Texas Rangers in Major League Baseball, their sensitivity to their own fans and their apparent insensitivity to those suffering in Houston due to the tragic circumstances surrounding Tropical Storm Harvey. In other words, there's nothing new here. Sadly, that reality also applies to the sports world, particularly the athletes and some owners who keep us infatuated with it, who once again step up as they have done time and time again, yet somehow never get recognized for their philanthropy nearly as much as they should. Of course, there has been mentions of Kaepernick fulfilling his promise, having already donated $900,000 of the $1 million pledge that he pledged months ago to worthy causes in his efforts to address racial inequality and police brutality. And it's true. We have heard about the philanthropy on the part of LeBron James and Kevin Durant, amongst others, who've donated their time and money to the desolate and disenfranchised communities they've been intimately associated with throughout their lives. But there's also been donations to efforts in Houston by Patriots owner Robert Kraft. Rockets owner Les Alexander is selling the team and still felt the need to donate $10 million to the efforts. It should come as no surprise that newest Rocket, Chris Paul, as conscientious as anyone, felt the need to throw $50,000 into the mix. And is there truly a worthwhile way to measure the efforts and contributions made by Texan superstar J.J. Watt, who's already helped raise over $5 million for relief efforts and counting? Newsflash, ladies and gentlemen, none of those individuals are obligated to do anything. They have their success, they have their money, they have their careers, and it's not scheduled to dwindle anytime soon, regardless of whether or not they're seen as having a big heart. Yet they do so anyway, as they always have. Because in the end, that's what sports, the sports world, has always been about. These individuals don't just do what they do for the cheers. They do what they do to provide us all with a reason to cheer. And just when you think you've run out of reasons to do so any longer, somehow sports always finds a way to keep us going. Maybe we should remember that from time to time, particularly when the next story tempts us to knock these people down.
There you have it. That's what I had to say. I hope you heard me loud and clear, because that certainly applies to J.J. Watt right now and so many others. 866-729-ESPN. That's 866-729-3776. Chris in L.A., you're live with Stephen A. What's going on?
Hey, Stephen A. Yeah, just what you said on what J.J. Watt doing. He was just doing a fantastic job out there. I want to commend him for the job he's doing out there for what's going on in Houston right now. Mm-hmm. But just real quick, I wanted to touch on what Michael Wilbon and yourself had to say as far as what LeBron and him what he's trying to do with this whole social media, and I guess trying to stay relevant after his fifth finals loss. Honestly, Stephen, I really don't have much to add to what you said before the break. You hit it off. My whole thing is, Stephen, I think we need to just get to the root of the problem, in my opinion. I just feel like LeBron really doesn't have the mentality or the mindset of someone who is trying to get over a hump. Like you mentioned Kobe and Jordan. He obviously, that's two different eras. But let me ask you something, Stephen A. You remember that game back when LeBron was facing Boston? And you say he looked like a man possessed because, remember, he was without a championship at the time, so all the pressure was on him to get over that hump. Have we seen that since then? Because I don't believe we have.
Well, listen, I just think that, I don't want to – first of all, we all know that LeBron James exhausts every measure to try and win. We certainly can't accuse him of not doing that. But I think the thing that gets on my nerves is that he wants to focus on things that people cannot dispute. Who would dispute anything about him as a human being in terms of what he does for underprivileged kids and things of that nature? No one would do that. But what does that have to do with whether or not you win? Because he's winning at the game of life. He's winning at the game of life. All right, well, then stop playing because you already won. If that's the case, what's there to talk about, Chris, if that's what you're going to lean on every time somebody getting critical of you? Golden State Warriors are the reigning defending NBA champions, and it happened at his expense. And what they're saying is that we're coming again and daring somebody to do something about it. And it's like, LeBron, wait a minute. We ain't trying to focus on nothing else but that, because there's nothing else to say. Everything else about you is fine. Who the hell are we to judge? You're probably a hell of a lot better than the rest of us. But when it comes to this issue, I got every right to look at Kevin Durant and say this man wants to be the best player in the world. And he's willing to sacrifice you in order to do it. What you going to do about it? I got a right to do that. without having to wonder or hear about what LeBron James is doing as a father, a husband, or a philanthropist. That's all I'm saying, Chris.
I agree, Stephen A. Well, like I said, only time will tell, Stephen A. The season's upcoming.
We'll see.
We'll see what excuse he's going to have down the line. I hope none, but we'll see.
The man's got 5 NBA Finals losses. You would think somebody like that would disappear for a little while. Really? That's not the way it goes.
Give Stephen A. piece of your mind.
He is sorry.
Call him weekdays from 1 till 3 Eastern.
I mean, just trash.
At 866-729-3776.
Guess what?
You're in the middle of the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Damn it, I mean it!
32,000 flood victims in shelters across the state of Texas. 32,000 people are in shelters across Texas. 10,000 people have been rescued. On Twitter, you see people posting videos, private boat owners coming from all over to help evacuate people from their homes around Houston. Special to see. It absolutely is. 866-729-ESPN. It's 866-729-3776. One other thing I want to get into in the first hour. Got my man Darren Woodson coming on in hour number 2. But I want to get into this before hour number 1 ended. Redskins controversy, some degree. Elementary school in the Maryland area wants to get rid of the Redskins name. I'm all for it, I guess. My attitude is if the Native American community finds it racist, the Redskins name racist, that's a problem. My issue, however, was that everybody didn't seem on the same page. Some Native Americans felt that way. Some Native Americans were saying it's not offensive at all. And if that's the case, I can't blame the Redskins for not changing it if that's the reality. But I'm not Native American. I don't know. What I do know, and I'm willing to say, is this. I hope no one is standing up and giving this elementary school applause. Because some third grader that brought it to the attention, I don't know whether it was a third grader or a 3-year-old, I don't know. But some youngster studying Native American history asked a question about it, and somebody else in the school had family members who were Native Americans that found the clothing offensive. And as a result, they said, hey, the school polled the kids and decided to make this change. Here's my point. The Redskins have played over 1,000 games in their career, in the franchise's history. They've won championships as far back as 1937 and 1942. What the hell is an elementary school a student teaching you anything for about something like that? You either know it or you don't. You either know it or you don't. But I'm not going to, listen, I don't know what to really say about this because on one hand, I feel like, hey, if it's offensive to the Native American community, change the damn name. On the other hand, I'm of the mindset that if you have other Native Americans who are saying that they're not offended by it, why should you? Because to me, things being universal matter. Max was saying today on First Take that wasn't the case. I disagree with him. Look, if you are not black and you call a black person the N-word, there's going to be a problem. I don't care where you are. You communicate with any black person like that, and you're not black, it's going to be a problem. Because universally, we understand that it's highly offensive to us, coming from anyone but us. But if the Native American community is divided on this issue, whoa. Carlton in Massachusetts, you're live with Stephen A. Only a couple of minutes, buddy. Go ahead.
So now we're turning third graders into agitating anarchists, huh?
I guess so.
This is insane. This is literally insane. The Annenberg poll in 2004 and the Washington Post poll in 2016 both found out that 90% of Native Americans look at the Washington Redskins name and are not offended in any way, shape, or form by it. In fact, a lot of them look at it with pride, which is exactly what Dan Snyder and the whole Redskins organization looks at it as. Molly on your show needs to be drug tested, maintaining that the word definitely means the scalp of a Native American. Yeah, Dan Snyder named his team the Washington Scalps of Native Americans. It's just idiotic what's happening in this country. I told you a couple of weeks ago, 3 Oregon schools, one of them a grade school, changed their name from Lynch, the founding family that, provided a lot of the money for the school, lest it offend somebody. So I said, Marshawn Lynch has to change his name, doesn't he? Because his name might offend somebody. This is bonkersville. These are just people that are literally agitating anarchists that want to get upset about something. It was the same thing with the Confederate statues. Charles Barkley was 100% right when he said he knows no African Americans that gave a hoot about that until the agitating anarchists got involved and wanted to, turn it into some god-awful issue to divide people.
My only challenge on that is those African Americans who may have given a hoot about it are not necessarily individuals that Charles Barkley would have known about.
They didn't, Stephen A. Come on.
Well,
in your 50 years on this planet, have any of your friends walked up to you and said, we got to get rid of that statue?
No, wait a minute. No, but I do know friends of mine who are members of the NAACP who felt otherwise. That's all I'm saying. You can't speak blanketly. That's all I'm trying to say about that.
Yeah, the agitating anarchist part, the minority.
All right, well, he said he doesn't know anybody. He didn't say anybody except or anybody excluding. He said anybody. That's all I'm saying.
We do have this agitating anarchy contingent.
Okay.
They are known as Antifa, and all of these rallies are getting more and more violent.
I will agree with you there. The Antifa, I was glad that our representative, Minority Whip Nancy Pelosi spoke out against them. I got to get ready to go, Carlton, because we've got a hard break. But I do appreciate your point, and I appreciated Nancy Pelosi calling them out. These folks are wearing masks and what have you. We don't know who the hell they are, and we don't know what their real agenda is. So I appreciated them getting called out.
That's just a sample of what you'll hear on the Stephen A. Smith Show. Weekdays at 1 p.m. Eastern on Sirius XM Channel 80 and the ESPN app.
I'm all-pro cornerback Richard Sherman, and when I'm not chasing receivers, I'm trying to keep up with my kids. That's why Alberto beef jerky is my favorite snack. Alberto is delicious, lean beef, slow-cooked and seasoned to perfection, all natural and all delicious. Alberto beef jerky is protein-packed, so I can keep up with my busy. Raiden, stop grabbing your sister's hair.
Alberto beef jerky. You get out what you put in.
Refers to Alberto's all-natural line of beef jerkies. Minimally processed, no artificial ingredients.
This is the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
I'm Stephen A. Stephen A. Smith Show here with you for the next hour over there with the ESPN Radio, Sirius XM, Channel 80. Number to call up as always is 866-729-ESPN. That's 866-729-3776. Let's go to the phones. Jamal, you're live with Stephen A. What's up, man?
Hey, man. I just want to ask you about the Kyrie and IT trade.
Go ahead.
So if you see that going through, do you think that the Cavs will push for Dwayne Wade to add to that mix? And if they do get Dwayne Wade, do you think that's going to carry them to beat the Warriors in the final?
First of all, it's not about remember something. It's not about just Dwayne Wade or pushing for anything. It's not about something like that. What it's about more so than anything else is that Dwayne Wade's got to be bought out. He's got to be bought out of his contract by Chicago. Once he's bought out, then he has the freedom to go where he wants to go. That's what that comes down to.
Yeah, I get that. I know with the friendship they have, I would see.
Well, they got. Listen, here's the deal. The second he's bought out, he'll probably want to go and play with his best friend. But make no mistake, he's got a mid-level exception offer on the table waiting for him from Miami. That's a given. Now, it's just the only question about Dwayne Wade is whether or not he's going to go to Cleveland for this one final time to try to capture a championship with his boy, or he's going to go to Miami to finish out his career immediately. Now, I say Cleveland is a strong possibility. Here's why. Not just because he'd won another championship before walking away or a shot at the title before walking away, but he actually owes that to LeBron. Remember, LeBron came to Miami because of him. So why wouldn't he come to Cleveland because of LeBron? You see my point?
I do see your point.
So he'll probably go to Cleveland. It's not definite, but he'll probably go to Cleveland before he ends up in Miami. But Miami will bring him back to close out his career in South Beach, without question.
Gotcha. That makes sense. And if you have time, one more thing to speak on that, what you were talking about with LeBron is hour number one. I just think that being a LeBron fan, I think in this day and age that he would have been more likely to go ghost and get away from the scene if he won the championship. I think that from that loss, he's trying to show his fans and show his supporters that, yeah, we're going to come back even stronger, even ready. I know he's not. No, he's not.
No, he's not. You know why? Because he's not saying we. He's saying him. He don't speak for anybody else. You can't have that kind of mentality when you could take it or leave it, whether Kyrie stays or goes, which is what he has told everybody. He going to be all right no matter what. If he's going to be ready to go in September, with or without Kyrie. When what you should be thinking about is who's going to give you the best chance to win. That's what you should be thinking about. But he's thinking about what he's going to do. So you're not accurate there.
Okay.
Take it easy. Mustafa, you're live with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio. What's up, man?
I'm doing good, man. 2 points. One about LeBron, one about the Kyrie Irving trade.
Yes.
LeBron James, I understand about controlling the narrative. I understand that point. But he's marketing himself, and we all know that. But the finals losses, bro, Jordan never faced a team as good as the Warriors, man. And not everybody is wired the way Kobe and Michael Jordan. Those guys are killer mentality. Those guys are killer assassins, bro. And LeBron James, if his mentality is if he gave it his all and he has no regrets, then he's satisfied. You know what? I lost, but I gave it my all. That's all I can do.
I can respect that, Mustafa. I can respect that and appreciate that. What I'm saying, however, is that, I'm not asking you to be them. I'm simply saying, listen, there's a problem when you feel the need to post a video the day of the Warriors championship parade. There's a problem with that.
Yeah.
I mean, that was less than a week after you lost. What are you doing?
Right.
It's like you want every moment to be yours. No, you don't get to do that when you lose. You get to do that when you win.
Right, but the point with Michael Wilbon is we can't make the assumption that Michael Jordan and any other great athlete would have been quiet the entire time. Who knows what they could have been tweeting or doing anything. They didn't grow up in that era, so we can't make assumptions.
I agree with you there, but Michael Wilbon knows Michael Jordan, as do I. And we can assure you Jordan wouldn't have been tweeting. I promise you that.
I hear you. Another point about the Kyrie Irving trade there, Stephen. Avery Bradley was a huge loss to the Boston Celtics. Him and Jay Crowder. Huge. I think Avery Bradley is going to thrive in Detroit. And they should have pulled the plug on that Jimmy Butler trade, in my opinion. But I believe...
You mean they should have done the deal? You mean they should have done the deal?
Yes, they should have.
I agree.
They should have. Yeah, and they already paid a steep price for Kyrie Irving. I mean, they gave up a first-round pick from Brooklyn. And, I mean, that's huge.
Yeah.
Plus these other two things we already all know about. But my question is this, Stephen A. Did the Boston Celtics and Danny Ainge, did they misrepresent Isaiah Thomas's injury, or did the Cavs just did not do their due diligence?
The Cavs didn't do their due diligence because they knew and anticipated they would have the luxury of being able to come back and say they were not fully informed. That would help them get additional compensation, which is exactly what they're attempting right now. That's what I believe to be the case.
And Boston, if I were Boston, I would not give them any other thing. I mean, they already paid a steep price for Irving. So,
all right. I appreciate it, man.
It
Thanks for the call. Appreciate it. Chris in Texas, you're live with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio. What's up, Chris?
Yo, Stephen A. Hey, I just wanted to say I love the old school tunes from Hour One, by the way.
No problem.
But Okay, so check it. Stephen A., you get a call from the NFL, and they tell you, hey, Stephen A., we want you to be coach, and you accept it. But you have to pick a starter and a backup. You have 3 choices. Choice number 1, Matt Stafford. Choice number 2, what's his name? The quarterback from Miami.
Ryan Tannehill.
Choice number 3, Tony Romo. You got to pick.
You talk about Jay Cutler or Ryan Tannehill?
Jay Cutler.
All right, so you said Matt Stafford, right? Jay Cutler or who?
Tony Romo.
I'm going with what kind of a stupid question is that? Of course I'm going with Matt Stafford.
You always talk about how bad they are. I'm like, let me see who would he really go with.
Time out. I should hang up on you right now. That's not true. I don't say that about Matt Stafford. Only thing I said about Matt Stafford is that he doesn't deserve to be the highest paid player in the NFL, in NFL history. He's been in 3 playoff games. He's never won one. That's all I said.
Who would you go with, my man? Who would you go with?
Goodbye, man. I already said Matt Stafford. You clearly don't want to listen. You just want to be on the air just to hear yourself talk. Let's go to Matt in L.A. You're live with Stephen A. What's up?
Hey.
Go ahead, man.
Hey, good morning, Stephen A. This is my first time calling the show. I really enjoy your show.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah, the NFL, it's a big joke to me. I mean, you got these big organizations, doing their own investigations, and then you have these owners that are just, supporting their players, and you got these players that are making excuses. It's like a big circus. There's no consequences, and then they come up with these suspensions that doesn't make any sense. I mean, 6-game suspension, what does that even mean? I mean, and then you have somebody like Ezekiel Elliott is going to appeal it. I mean, what is the appeal going to do? Is that going to, reduce it to 4 games?
It's possible, or it may not get reduced at all.
It might not get reduced at all. It's just a big circus. I mean, you got big money coming in, and everybody's out of control.
Okay, I got you. I appreciate the call. Thank you so much.
Catch the Stephen A. Smith Show live on 98.7 ESPN New York, ESPN LA 710, and Sirius XM Channel 80.
You just can't make this stuff up.
Weekdays from 1 to 3 Eastern.
You're listening to Love Advice with Leanne. Caller, you're on the air.
Hi, Leanne. Longtime listener, first-time caller. Why, in your professional opinion, do you never take my calls off the air?
Is this Carl?
Yep, it's Carl. I mean, we had a few dates. Everything was great. I thought,
Well, when you switch to Geico, you could save a lot of money on car insurance.
Okay, awesome.
You should call them.
I will.
Geico, because saving 15% or more on car insurance is always a great answer.
You're listening to the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
By the way, J.J. Watt, it's up to $6 million. He started out in pursuit of raising $1.5 million in funds. He kept upping it every few hours because people kept exceeding the amount he asked for. Now he's asked them to pledge up to $6 million, and he has received it. So there's no doubt he'll probably push the number up to $7 million. He'll probably receive that too. He's looking for $10 million, Now he's in pursuit of $10 million. Looking at CNN Live right now, 19 dead as storm makes devastating new landfall. Helicopters lifting folks up, rescuing them as we speak. Rescue effort is still ongoing. This is something else. It really is. Corey in New Jersey, you're live with Stephen A. What's up, man?
I just wanted to call in when you had made the statement about the core of America and everybody coming together. I disagree in a way with that statement. It's the same people that normally come together, and that's not, that are helping out and stuff like that. That's not the core of this country. This country wasn't built upon those type of things like that. So I just disagree with your statement on that behalf.
Hold on. Who said that the country was built on that? I didn't say the country. Hold on. If you listen, then you'll hear me. I did not say the country was built on that. I said that's the best of us. That's what we've consistently done throughout recent history, and it's something we need to continue to do. That's what I said. Clearly, that's not what the country was built on.
Yeah, all right. That's I misheard you because that's why I wanted to call and get that straight. But that's why I was going to call in and say I disagree with that. We far from that. You know, we far from that.
I think on many occasions we've seen the generosity of the American people. I think we're seeing it now. I think we've seen it on several occasions in the past. It's obviously something that we need to continue to do and get better at and improve upon it. But our core, particularly in the modern day era, in times of tragedy, whether it's 9/11, whether it's Hurricane Katrina and beyond, I do believe that we have come together in a lot of different ways. Not everyone. There always could be more, but a lot of Americans step up and show the better part of themselves, and I think that's what's happening today. I appreciate the call. Thank you. Let's go to Nikolai in Beverly Hills. You're live with Stephen A. What's up, man?
Hey, what's going on, Stephen A?
Go ahead.
Why are you always giving LeBron James a hard time, bro? Like, every time I listen to your show, you're giving LeBron James
then you only listen to my show 20% of the time. Because 80 to 90% of the time I'm praising the man. I just get tired of praising him to the point where the second I say something negative about him, I have people like you calling up saying, why don't you always? I think people need to get a command of the English language. Because when you say the word always, that means you're implying that it's something that I'm doing all the time, when usually most of the time I'm giving him incredible praise because he deserves it.
Right, he does. And I didn't like the fact that he has to go away. Because I think
people who lose should disappear and leave time for the winners to celebrate. I firmly believe that. Now, I don't mind seeing you once the season begins. I don't mind hearing your footsteps and knowing that you're coming. But when you're making videos on a day that the Golden State Warriors have a parade and you're 3 to 4 days removed from losing to that team in the NBA Finals, I don't think that's the time to make a video about anything. You just
People
lost.
React in different ways. I like to see that competitiveness in him.
Hold on. What competitiveness? He just lost.
Yeah, but
it matters to me what I saw those 5 games. You had an entire NBA Finals series to do that. Once it's done and you didn't get it done, you didn't get it done. What I need to see it that Thursday for, the day of their parade? Why?
Come on, man. You can't be giving that.
You know what? What's the name of this show?
Right now.
What's the name of the show?
Stephen A. Smith
That's
Show.
right. So guess what? I can. Goodbye. You're damn right I can. And I'm doing it because I can. What's the name of this show, Jonathan Winthrop? What's the name of this show, Nuno? Say it loud. I don't think my audience can hear you. What's the name of this show, John? What's the name of this show, Nuno?
Stephen A. Smith Show.
What about you, Kat? What's the name of this show? You're damn right I can. I can do that. Nikolai and Beverly Hills, when you get your own show, you do something different. If you just lost, I don't want to hear from you. Take some time to wallow in that misery. Suck it up. Maybe you'll prioritize winning a bit more next time instead of conceding defeat before you even played them. That's me. And that's the way I'm going to stay. Mike in New Jersey, you live with Stephen A. What's up?
Yes, sir, man. I'm so glad you're getting on LeBron like that. And these Cleveland Cavalier apologists, I mean, they get on my nerves. I said, the guy lost 5 series. Then they say, oh, well, they didn't play against anybody tough like the Golden State Warriors. But, hey, Kobe went against the big 3, and you can't name Kobe starting 5.
Look, man, I'm just tired of people acting like if you say one bad thing about LeBron, you always crucifying him. We praise LeBron James all the time. But that don't mean we got to. I mean, what's he going to do next? He going to go to the toilet and you want us to tell him it smells like perfume? What's next? What's next?
He's a great guy, off the court.
Great guy, great player, but you lost. You lost.
Hey, wasn't he the one that said not 4, not 5, not 6? What was he talking about?
Look, man.
Final losses?
Look, let me tell you something right now. If LeBron ain't careful, this is KD's time, if we're being honest. If we're being honest and real and straight up, it's KD's time. And by the way, everybody talking about LeBron James averaged the triple-double. All right, that's fine. Kevin Durant averaged 35. 35. in the finals. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I ain't ignoring that. I'm not doing it. Tyler, you're live with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio. What's up?
Hey, Stephen A. Just had a question. What's the difference between Matt Stafford getting paid the way he did and Derek Carr getting paid the way he did? Because in my eyes, I see that there's not much of a difference. Actually, Stafford's done more, but isn't it all circumstantial?
No, not to me. Not to me. Here's why. Derek Carr got hurt. A. B. Derek Carr and that Oakland Raiders offense seemed to be high octane. C. Oakland is on the come up in a very significant way, and you're talking about a core young nucleus. Derek Carr didn't have all of these years of failures. You look at Matt Stafford. I'm not questioning his ability at all. I'm not questioning what his talent deserves at all. I am just allergic to sitting there and saying that somebody that's made the playoffs 3 times and has missed it the other 5 in his career, who has never won a single playoff game, deserves to be the highest paid player in the history of football. I understand it's all relative to day and age that we're living in, the television contracts, the new, the collective bargain. I'm sorry, the salary cap getting upped, and I get all that. I understand it. And the next guy that's a free agent will eclipse him. I get it. I just have a problem with a guy being labeled the highest paid player in the history of the National Football League when there's not even a playoff victory on their resume. That's my issue. In the case of Derek Carr, he's had less amount of time. Matthew Stafford has been in the league as a starting quarterback for 8 full years, man. 8 years, and still hasn't won a playoff game.
People are going to say when Matt Ryan gets that new highest paid player in NFL history,
he'll deserve it. He'll deserve it. He'll deserve it because of the market, but also, last time I checked, he just got to a Super Bowl. And he's been to an NFC Championship game before that. And he's been to the playoffs before that. Matthew Stafford doesn't have a playoff victory at all. And he's the highest paid player in the NFL. I just don't like that part. I don't give a damn if he got a penny less. And that made him the second highest. But he shouldn't be labeled the highest paid player in all of the history of the NFL if you don't have one single playoff victory. It's just something I have a problem with, that's all. It's no big deal. It's not a knock against Matthew Stafford.
Guess what? You're in the middle of the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Damn it, I mean it! I love this guy. It's my brother. It's the only reason I could tolerate him on my show, because his resume includes primarily championships with the Dallas Cowboys. That's enough to make any brother sick. But I'll get over it for this moment, for the next few moments. My man, my partner in crime, NFL analyst for ESPN, Darren Woodson, is on the line with yours truly right now. What's up, man? How are you?
I'm doing good, man. It's been a good day. You took care of it earlier, though. I got to give you that. You could have went all the way in on me early on first take.
I did not do so, but I will ask you in all seriousness, Darren, in all seriousness, how do you think this whole appeal situation with Ezekiel Elliott will play out, and how do you think it should play out?
Look, I think both. I feel like this way. I think it should play out 6-game suspension. I think it will play out a 6-game suspension. I think the Cowboys, as much as talking as Jerry has done through this process, basically saying that he is innocent in the process, will deal with it as a 6-game suspension. I don't think this is going to go to the Supreme Court and the Tom Brady aspect of things, how it went to the next level. I think they're going to get the suspension because that's the climate right now in this league. It's for domestic violence, however you want to cut it, it's a 6-game suspension, and I think they're going to deal with it that way. I don't think you're going to hear much from there. There'll be some complaining, but in the end, it is what it is. And there's a part of me, Stephen A., that says, and even in my small discussions with Stephen Jones and some of those in the Jones family, that they know this is coming. They understand this is coming, and it's more than just the domestic violence. Some of the incidents that have happened while he was in college, and some of the incidents that have taken place in Dallas alone, there's been too much on the plate of Ezekiel Elliott, and I think the 6-game suspension, they're going to live with it. And I think that's part of it, to say the hand has been slapped for too long. At some point, you got to remove him from the field. And I think the Cowboys will deal with it accordingly.
So do you believe? So you believe? If I hear you correctly, you sound as if you believe he deserves the 6-game suspension without question. But are you saying he deserves it because, based on a report by the NFL, you believe, as they do, that it's more probable than not that he's guilty of such a thing? Or is it just that he's been involved in too many incidences and somebody's got to reel this guy in? Which one are you saying?
Absolutely. I think it's too many instances. And I think that at some point you've got to really say whether, I wasn't there the day of. I don't know what the investigation has turned out as far as if he laid his hands on anyone, and hopefully, hope to God, he absolutely didn't. But I mean, we don't know. No one knows. Even in the law in Colombia hasn't really hasn't said he's guilty of anything. But at the same time, there's just been so much smoke, whether it be that incident with the young lady or the club fights, or the lifting of the shirt of a young lady. There's been so many incidents with Ezekiel Elliott that at some point you got to take the gloves off, and you have to punish where punishment is due, and I think it's due in this case.
Darren, what's it right?
You know what? And I'm saying this because I you know how much I love this team.
Yeah,
it's my family. But at the same time, at some point, something has to give, and I think the lesson needs to come down the pipe hard and strong this week.
Just to educate my radio listeners, Darren, what were your feelings about Jerry Jones' exact comments? There's no evidence here as it pertains to Ezekiel Elliott. What was your response to that?
My response is I can't back up that, and I will not defend those comments. I think that was inappropriate on Jerry's part to even say something like that, to say that it was innocent. And he's basing it off the evidence that he has. But at the same time, you just don't because you just don't know. And there's a victim in this case. So if that's the case, I think Jerry misspoke. He shouldn't have. I think Charlotte Jones, who has been one of the most powerful women in sports, who's Jerry's daughter, has been integral as far as the understanding of domestic violence and has done so much within the community of Dallas in that aspect. And I'm sure she's had conversations with him, especially after he made that comment. But I think I just can't defend those comments made by Jerry. I love the man as an owner. Always supported him. Will continue to support him. He's been there for me. He's been there for all my teammates, current and former. And he's been a huge part of my life, but I just can't not defend that comment that he made.
Darren Woodson right here with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio. You agree with the decision on the NFL not to have this preseason game between the Texans and the Dallas Cowboys? Absolutely.
I mean, what's happening in Houston right now with Hurricane Harvey, it's so much bigger than football. I mean, football is special and, it's great for me and a lot of us here at ESPN. But this pales in the comparison of what's going on with the families that are suffering. And, we're just talking about the current players on the Texans and, the decision being made for the Texans organization to go home and spend time with their family. But, I'm listening to Jamal Charles and Andy Dalton and players throughout the league who make Houston home. They're concerned. I mean, they're all over the country. They're concerned about their family members as well. And it's not about football. This is not about football. This should be about the people in Houston right now. And if it's about the players getting back and spending time with their family and making sure they're safe, then that's what it should be about. It doesn't. This last game in the preseason, Game 4, the starters aren't playing. I mean, who cares about this last game? Move on and take care of the folks back in Houston.
Let's get to the football field. I mean, when we look at some of the things that have transpired in this preseason, has there been a team that has stood out in your mind that has been impressive as far as you're concerned? I mean, what has stood out most for you throughout this preseason?
Well, watching Seattle play has been pretty impressive, and how they've gone about their business. Look, the preseason games mean nothing, and we all know that. I played on a team in 1993, the Dallas Cowboys team, when we went on to the Super Bowl when we won one preseason game, so it means nothing, absolutely. But there were some things that I've seen with Seattle as far as offensively running the ball a little bit more consistently. They've done some things there. I think they're a team that you definitely have to watch. I think the Carolina Panthers, even though they had a bad one against the Tennessee Titans in week 2 of the preseason games, McCaffrey is going to be special. And if there was a team right now that I would say you better keep your eye on this offense. I would say if Cam Newton comes back healthy and he comes back to 75% what he was 2 years ago or 80%, you bring in McCaffrey, and he's a legitimate weapon on first, second, third down, and in the return game. They can be dynamic in some spots.
You know what? It's interesting you bring that up because I'm of the mindset that, listen, I love the fact that McCaffrey with the Carolina Panthers can make some noise. I love the fact that you brought up Seattle because the receiving weapons that Russell Wilson has, combined with the fact that he's healthier now than he was last season, I expect Seattle to make some noise. But I can't dismiss Atlanta, how formidable they looked in that Super Bowl before they fell apart, and how they've got all of their weapons pretty much returning. Who do you have as your favorite to come out of the NFC?
You know, it's hard to deny. It's hard to deny Atlanta, and trust me, I love what you just said right now because of what they have as far as weapons. You know, Kyle Shanahan being gone, maybe they take a little bit longer to get acclimated to the new offensive coordinator, but they are talent laden offensively. No one matches up with them across the board as far as their receiving core. Defensively, they're a young unit, and now they've gotten the experience of going far in the playoffs, playing in the Super Bowl. They're a team right now that I would honestly say are the best team in the NFC. But we always got to understand that there's always that Super Bowl hangover. What they've gone through this entire season, what they went through last year, and then get to the Super Bowl and lose. We've seen teams like the Carolina Panthers come back and go 15-1 and then come back the next season and they're a shell of themselves. So, I think there's still some concern about that hangover from last year. But this team right now, personnel-wise, they're as good or better than any team in the NFL right now.
Are the Patriots a lock in the AFC in your mind?
Man, it's hard not to say that they are. Barring any major injuries right now, what they have on paper and how. Listen, the Patriots are the best coach team in football. I don't care what you say or who's out there as far as other teams. They are the most prepared team on any Sunday, Monday, Thursday that you'll have out there. So if there's a pick right now and they're defending Super Bowl champions, I'm going with the Patriots as the number one team in the AFC for sure. I think they go to the Super Bowl once again this year, and they may be a repeat of what we saw last year.
I'd like you to repeat what you said to my listeners on First Take this morning when you talked about Dallas being a wild card and the Giants winning the division but still being more successful in the postseason. Explain yourself and nauseate us all before you leave.
Well, I feel like this. Last year, the Cowboys went 13-3, and they had a season in which people didn't have a lot of film on Dak Prescott. They were dynamic in the running game. Not a lot of turnovers defensively, but they played pretty consistent defensively. They didn't give up a lot of big plays. So they go 13-3 this year. Now there's going to be film on Dak Prescott. Defense coordinators are going to have that type of film to look at him, see where his tendencies are. The 4 interceptions this year may increase. They'll probably turn the ball over more, but you're going to see a team, especially with the suspensions that they had, Zeke being one, David Irving being another one. They're going to have some games early on in which they're probably going to struggle. I think this team gets better as the season progresses. I think in week 7, 8, 9, you'll see the team come on. You'll see this offensive line start to gel. They lost Doug Free. They lost an offensive guard. They'll start to gel offensively on the front line, and you'll see a much better team at the end of the season. I feel like the Giants win the division, but I think the Cowboys go further in the playoffs than the Giants. And I'm putting it out there right now. And I did it early on First Take. Cowboys have a legitimate path to the Super Bowl. I think they'll be legitimate.
Boy, I cannot wait
this season as far as the playoffs concerned.
I cannot wait until I am in Dallas with you next week. I can't wait. I can't wait. Don't worry about anybody. You got security. I ain't scared of no damn Dallas Cowboy fans. Hell with y'all. Hell with y'all.
You up at the airport. I'm picking you up at the airport.
I'll be there. I'm getting there early. I can't wait. Thanks a lot, bro. Appreciate it, man.
All right, man. Love you.
Take it easy.
All
right, man. My man, Darren Woodson, the man, my brother, right here with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio, 866-729-ESPN, 866-729-3776. President Trump delivering a speech on tax reform. Is this the day to do that? I'm just wondering, guys. I'm just wondering.
Want to be a part of the show? Hit Stephen A. up weekdays from 1 to 3 Eastern at 866-729-3776.
Guess what?
You're in the middle of the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Damn it, I mean it!
Back to the phones we go. Right here on the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio. Let's get these calls out the way before we get on out of here. Let's make it quick and concise. Marcus in New Jersey, talk to me. What's up?
Hey, Steve. I don't think I'm going to have that much time, so I'm going to call back in tomorrow because I have a long list of what I want to say about the antics that LeBron James do. So I'm going to give you a call back tomorrow.
All right, thanks. No problem. Demetrius in Brooklyn, you're live with Stephen A. What's up?
Hey, what's going on, Stephen A? It's the same thing as that caller that just said. Why do the people that follow LeBron, I feel like I could compare them to the people that support Donald Trump. No matter what he does, y'all are still giving him unfair coverage. Y'all are so hard on the man. He's been through a lot. He hasn't been through, he's been through 5 losses. But he can sit at a podium and say, I'm the greatest player on the planet.
Well, he is. He is. But the bottom line is that guess what? The reality of the situation is clear. You know, in the end, that don't have anything to do with it. I mean, listen, all the great things that you are, you when you lose, we got a right to point it out. Plain and simple. Ain't no way around it. Demetrius, I got to roll. Thanks a lot for the call. Michael in Brooklyn, you're live with Stephen A. What's up?
Hey, Stephen A. What's up? I just want to talk about LeBron. Like you said before, he has no excuses no more. He got everything on the table. He should be able to do what he got to do this year.
Yeah.
There's no excuses.
2 started 5s. No excuses.
That's right.
No
That's
excuses.
Right.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks a lot. Bob in Westchester, you're live with Stephen A. Real quick. Go ahead, Bob.
Hi, Stephen. How are you today?
I'm all right. Go ahead, man.
I just had a proposal I wanted to run by you. With reference to the NFL protest.
I'm only rushing you because we're running out of time, so just go ahead and say what you feel.
I would hope that the NFL would ask the protesters to give, let's say, 1 week's paycheck to the relief in Harvey. I think that would be a gesture.
Why the NFL protesters instead of everybody?
Well, considering all the negativity that they've been bringing upon the sport, I think maybe they could offset. They could offset it by creating something.
How are
positive.
Protesters bringing negativity to the sport?
Oh, it's obvious that the NFL is having difficulty with those protesters with the Colin Kaepernick situation.
They're protesting. They're making their cases felt, but that's not harming the NFL.
You don't think the NFL has felt a lot of grief from all these things going on?
Do you not think the NFL deserves it?
I think the NFL wants to make money, and these people are creating issues, and maybe I'm just saying I think that it would be a good gesture.
Why don't you call me back when we have time so I can get all into that nonsense you spewing right here? I don't even want to get into it now because we'd run out of time. Let's go to Scott in L.A. You're live with Stephen A. What's up, Scott?
Hey, Stephen A., yes, it's appropriate. It's good news. Yes, tax reform. Let's have some action. Less talk.
No. I'm not talking about him doing it. I understand there's a job to do. But at the same time, you're the president of the United States. There's a catastrophe that's taking place in the midst of all of that, helping to get that resolved. I understand your point in terms of actually doing the job. Of course, I'm not poo-pooing that. I'm saying you're having a press conference about this right now when people are out in the streets of America, trying to, helping out in this relief effort. That's all I'm saying. Thank you for the call. David, you're live with Stephen A. Real quick, David, go ahead.
Hey, how you doing, Stephen A? I want to preface my quick comment by saying my heart goes out to you about your mom. I'm a long-time listener, first-time caller.
Thank you.
I lost my mom to cancer in 2010.
Thank you.
Stephen A., I just want to say real quick, man, that your caller earlier, Carlton, has to understand that just because we have people, I'm black and Native American, Stephen, just because we have people that sold us out and say it's not offensive to them doesn't mean that the United States and everybody as a whole should look at the point that a lot of people are hurting by that logo. No human being should be used as a logo. And that's what it is to us. And yeah, you're going to always have people that are going to come out and say, well, it's not offensive to me. It's not. They could have a team with the N word. A lot of us would be offended. I guarantee you there would be some that come out and say it's not offensive to them. So what you have to do is look at the heart of the matter. The spirit of the matter. There were 500 million native people on this land before the Europeans came here. They wiped us out. And now they're using our face as a logo.
I got it because we're running out of time. I totally understand your point. I get where you're coming from. That view isn't shared by everybody, but it is shared by some. So I can appreciate and understand exactly where you're coming from, and I certainly want to be sensitive to that. Got to get on out of here, but I'll be back in 22 hours. College football season's about to start. We're going to get into that in the next few days and more. Stephen A. Talk to you tomorrow. Peace and love.
That's just a sample of what you'll hear on the Stephen A. Smith Show. Weekdays at 1 p.m. Eastern on Sirius XM Channel 80 and the ESPN app.